Janet Gemmel with Cape Fear Family Law, and I'm here today with Garlande Powell. So she's going to talk to us today about boundaries. Do you always have to have a consequence to a boundary?
There's natural consequences there are to every choice that we make. So sometimes it's not that you're making a consequence, it is a consequence of the fact of their choice and their behavior. But it's not like a punitive punishment type thing.
Why do you see people sometimes having problems setting boundaries?
Because they weren't taught to set boundaries. They grew up not having any boundaries. They've been so demoralized and told that they're worth nothing, they can't make good choices, good decisions, that they question whether or not they should set a boundary. There's lots of different reasons why people struggle with boundaries.
Let's talk about the difference between maybe reacting and responding. Do you have to talk to people about the difference between reacting and responding?
I do. It's hard not to react in the moment. And I think that's where you probably see in court with the whole texting things of, the texts come up and you're like, wait a minute, you responded, you said what? Well, we get emotional and we react. Yes. And so we react. But if we can instead just respond, and the difference sometimes is giving yourself space to think through your answer, to pray over it, to have somebody else look at it. In emails and texts, I suggest all the time to my client, have somebody else look at it, wait before you respond, take a deep breath and calm down, think about what are you trying to communicate? Because so much is lost in communication like that, in texts and emails, that if you can have someone else look at it and say, here's what I'm trying to say to this person, and is it coming across that way? I think it also helps with responding instead of reacting, to use less words. Less is always better. Don't beat around the bush and tell them how terrible they are and then get to the point of, by the way, I'd like the kids this weekend. Let's just say, I would like the kids from this to this, and just leave it like that.
It's such great advice. All of my clients need to listen to this, but the other side needs to keep sending the text messages. They're great evidence in court. When you see parties having problems in relationships, how many of those problems stem from having unhealthy boundaries?
All of them.
All of them?
I would say all of them. All
wow.
of them. Yes.
So if I'm having a problem in my relationship, usually, if I'm hearing you correctly, is it because I have an unhealthy boundary, or what are the other options?
Well, the other options is maybe the spouse has the unhealthy boundary. Like he's decided that, you've asked him to not look at porn anymore, or not go and drink every night on his way home. And he's like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care what you tell me to do. He has an unhealthy boundary, that he's crossing your boundary, but he also has unhealthy boundary or habits that he doesn't care. It can be very selfish in their boundaries that they set up. However, for example, they may expect you to answer every time they call, but you call them and they don't answer.
So for example, let's say that I set a boundary up. No drinking tonight when you come home. And my spouse, it's not my spouse. Tyler, you can drink when you come home. Joking. But when you come home and you have this boundary there, right? And then they do it anyways. How do you enforce that?
Well, you can't necessarily, you can't make them not drink. That's not a possibility. But there can be, again, a consequence to their choice of stepping over your boundary. And you've got to think about and think through what you need to do, because they're not listening and not respecting your boundary. So it could be that you decide, well, if you're going to drink tonight, the kids and I are going to a hotel to be safe, for safety issues. Or you may say, you know what, if you're going to drink, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to do something else. The kids and I are going to go out and have dinner and not going to watch you sit here and sleep at the table while we're eating or yell and scream or so his choices, his behaviors, you may have to also make choices based on him not or her not listening to your boundaries.
You could totally see how people get stuck and not being able to
Yes.
enforce boundaries. Maybe there's not enough money to
Right.
go out and
Right.
go to the movies or even to leave. Like, because a boundary takes a lot of action, it sounds like.
It does. It
And
does.
sometimes really difficult emotional action.
Yes, very much so.
How do people get to where they can take that difficult emotional action? Is that where counseling comes in?
It is.
Okay.
I think counseling does help there to build up strength, to get a support network of people who can help you with that. And that could be your attorney, that could be your counselor, that could be your pastor, that could be your girlfriends, guy friends, your close confidants, to help you to navigate that and have people who will support you through that and encourage you.
I noticed that you didn't immediately say, you should just leave him. Like, that wasn't your first choice.
No.
Your options there were a number of steps.
Yes.
So it sounds like you want people to start with smaller boundaries.
I do, because smaller boundaries is good practice. And I think that the option of separation and leaving someone needs to be the very last ditch effort, the last kind of wake up call. Like, when I leave my husband or my wife, I really hope I've tried everything else I know to do, and this is the last ditch effort I have, is that maybe this will bring them around, that they will see that things need to change, that I'm serious.
How important are relationships? Yeah, just a big, broad question there.
That is a big, broad question. Relationships are really what matters. They are very important. Relationships, good communication, healthy boundaries, it's all tied in together, that we can't go through life as a hermit. We have to have relationships with others.
What makes a relationship a good one or a healthy one? When I say good, I usually mean healthy.
Right.
So what makes a relationship healthy?
I think that a healthy relationship has open, transparent communication. In a marriage situation, open, transparent finances between the two, because that's an issue that comes up a lot. I think that when two people come together, that the couple needs to be on equal footing, financially, spiritually, educational-wise, because there's an unequally yoking, there's an imbalance if it's not. So I think that that's very important when you consider a life mate.
So you have to set boundaries, but you're going to get peace in the end. Tell us how you're going to set some new boundaries in your life. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and we look forward to seeing you again.